Hey y'all, this is Amanda and welcome back to my Texas Zone 8A garden. And today I stopped by Lowe's to check out a few things and I noticed they had a bunch of their fall planting bulbs available. So let's go through and see what they have. Okay, so the first thing I noticed is there's not very many, y'all. They usually have a ton more than this. And so either they just don't have as many as usual, or maybe I missed the window. I mean, truthfully, I'm at these big box stores like once a week, so I'd be surprised if I missed it. But let's go ahead and dig into what they have. So these are all fall planted bulbs. So we're gonna plant them now, and then they will give us blooms in the spring. So all fall planted. So I'll talk to you a little bit about how I go about each of these varieties as we're going through and exploring what they have. Okay, these giant sacks of daffodils are part of my favorite value at a big box store. It is 40 bulbs for $20. And look at the size of these bulbs. They are absolutely amazing. They look like potatoes. They are so big and so beautiful. And these are one of my favorite things to do for a friend. I love to just pick up a big sack of these and go plant them in a friend's garden. And then they have a beautiful surprise come spring. I did that last year for a couple of friends and they were just delighted. And the thing about daffodils is that they are perennial, so they will come back every year. So once you plant them, they'll be around for a while. You plant these about 3 to 6 inches deep, and they're going to be between 14 and 20 inches tall. They are great cut flowers, and they're just like the first things that show up in the spring. And it's just so delightful to see their sunny little faces pop up after a long winter. Now they do have some other specialty types of daffodils over here, so I'm excited to kind of show you guys what the varieties can be. This first one right here is called Ice King, and it is a double. So in the center, it's like double rows of trumpet blooms in the center, and then it has its outside petals. The inside is kind of a pale yellow tone, mostly white actually, and then the outside petals are white as well. Now these big box stores don't typically put a lot of information on the back that's relevant to the actual plant, so you might want to Google and look up if there's a particular depth or anything you need to know about that. This other variety is called Slim Whitman, 6 plants or 6 bulbs for $5, and it is a double as well. It's got an orange center with kind of a ruffled yellow trumpet and then white petals on the outside. This one right here is called Jetfire. It's a little bit smaller and its trumpets turn downwards, face downwards. And it has kind of an orangey coral trumpet kind of center and then all yellow petals on the outside. It is a much more petite daffodil. Now, I love this variety down here, and I've grown it before. It is called Replete, and I've grown it straight from the big box store, and it did beautiful. It's kind of like a salmon coral center. It's a double, so it's coral mixed with white in the center, and then it has white petals on the outside, so 12 bulbs for $8. Really, really pretty. You definitely want to look at the bulbs every time you're buying. Like, pull them out, look at them, squeeze them. If they're spongy, you don't want them. If they're so brittle that they're like turning to dust, you don't want them. So you really want to pay attention to the bulbs. Take the time, feel each one of the bulbs. Make sure you're in good situation, no mold, all that stuff. That's what you're looking for. So if that's good, then you're ready to go home with it. Now this is a Dutch master daffodil. This is a larger daffodil. It is a traditional yellow trumpet and yellow petals on the outside, and it's 12 bulbs for $8. Absolutely beautiful, a little bit taller. This down here is a double mix of daffodils, so all the center trumpets are doubles, and it is a mix, so you're not sure exactly what varieties you're gonna be getting, but I actually like that. I think that's fun, and I think they go well with one another. There is a single down here mix, a trumpet and cups mix, so it's a traditional trumpet and then petals on the outside. Another really fun mix to play with. Now, Ice Follies are a classic daffodil, and I have grown them as well, and they are stunning, beautiful, delicate, very, very pale butter center with white petals on the outside of them. So 6 plants for $5. I mean, 6 plants for $5 is pretty good. I think you can find some better deals everywhere, but there is something to be said about convenience. The tete-a-tete daffodils are very tiny, very sweet, and these are really fun ones to force inside in early spring. Very tiny, petite, and kind of whimsical and fun looking. Now, they did not have as many bearded iris as I've seen in the past. They did have 3 varieties. This one was called Presby Crown Jewel. And I know it looks blue, but my guess is it's going to be more of a purple tone, white with kind of purple margins. Really pretty. It's one bulb, or technically a rhizome, for $5. Since that one box was empty, I started going through the other boxes. I mean, maybe someone came and cleaned all of these out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they were like, I have to have all of these. And so, yeah, there wasn't as much information. This one right here was called Mother Earth Bearded Iris. It kind of had multiple colors in it. Now, I will say, I was checking out the rhizome. It was so dry. It was so dry that I felt like I could crush it. And that is definitely something you don't want. You want it to have a firmness to it, you know, like it still feels alive. This guy was so dormant. I don't know. I would hesitate to buy that particular rhizome because it just didn't feel right because it was so incredibly dry. Now, this variety is called Pagan Dance, and immediately made me think of Outlander, if any of y'all watch that show. I love the opening to Outlander where all the girls are dancing around the stones and blah, blah, blah. Now, this rhizome was in way better shape. It felt alive. It felt healthy. It did not feel brittle. It had a touch of weight to it compared to the other one that was light as a feather. So I felt way more confident in that particular rhizome than I did on the other one. Now, as a reminder, I'm in zone 8A. So tulips, when planted in our area, don't typically come back each year. I have to go ahead and pre-chill my tulips. So I put them in a refrigerator for typically around 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. And then I plant them out in January so that they can get consistent cold for quite a while. And then if I decide to leave them in the ground, they will not come back. However, I can dig them up and pre-chill them again and utilize them next year. So let's look at a few more tulip varieties. Now, this variety is called Daydream, and it's yellow and it has a little bit of kind of like reddish pink striations to it, which I thought were really pretty, sunny, happy kind of feel. It is 6 bulbs for $5. Once again, you're wanting to look at the size. These are 18 to 22 inches tall, so you could utilize these as cut flowers. Tulips are great as a cut flower, but I always check the back for the size of tulips because sometimes if they're super short, they don't work as well as a cut flower. I have recently been drawn to red, and this was beautiful. This is called World's Favorite, and it's red with kind of yellow margins to it, which I thought was beautiful. 6 plants again for $5. I'm going to keep saying plants because that's what they have. It's bulbs. This one is 18 to 22 inches tall and would be excellent as a cut flower because of its height. Really pretty, bold, striking color. Now this mix down here had 12 bulbs for $8, and it was called Pride Mix. It was a really pretty color combination with deeper magenta reds, kind of purple tones, blushes. Absolutely beautiful. Really love that combination. This would be beautiful planted in a drift. These were a little bit taller at 18 to 24 inches tall and would be great as cut flowers as well. But yeah, that color combination was just absolutely stunning. I loved it. Now down here was another mix. These are called long stemmed mix. So you had red with white, pinks, white, yellows, purples, a bunch of just beautiful spring colors. The bulbs were very healthy in the back. I just thought they looked absolutely beautiful. This one ranged in 16 to 24 inches. So once again, still good as a cut flower. 30 bulbs for $13. So if you're wanting to try your hand at tulips, that's the way to go. Now this variety, Angelique, is very popular. You've probably seen it grown by a lot of YouTube growers. It's all over TikTok, it's all over Instagram. So it's really fun to see this variety at a big box store. It's a double tulip, so you can see there's tons and tons of petals. It's about 12 to 24 inches tall. So sometimes it comes in shorter, and I have heard quite a few gardeners say that it grows a little bit shorter. So at 12 inches, it's a little bit tough to utilize it as a cut flower, but man, it is absolutely stunning. Now think about mixing those angelique tulips with these blue diamond tulips. Absolutely beautiful, kind of like a bluish purple tone, really pretty with a little bit of light white, you know, kind of on the edges. Absolutely stunning. It is also a double and it is 14 to 18 inches tall, but mixing this variety with the angelique would be gorgeous. Look at the size. So there's some really big bulbs in there, but also some really small ones, but you can dig through and find the absolute perfect package for yourself. I also like these, which were called Claudia. And so they were kind of a magenta purple pink with white margins along the edges of the petals, a little bit of a spiky petal, which I thought was unique and interesting, a little bit different. These are about 18 to 24 inches tall, so great size for a cut flower. And it was 6 bulbs for $5. Okay, so those were some of my favorite tulip bulbs that they had. But to show you a couple of different varieties, one of the early spring bloomers that's kind of shorter and towards the front of a border is called Fritillaria. And this one is called Uva vulpis. I'm sure I just butchered that name because y'all know how terrible I am with pronunciations. They're about 8 to 12 inches tall, and they're kind of beautiful bell-like flowers in that they kind of flop over and turn down. And so they look like little bells, and they look beautiful when the wind catches them. But I love this combination of like purple maroon with kind of yellow inside. Really, really pretty and really soft, and such an early bloom. They're really fun to have. And here's one other variety called Melangris. And this one had almost like a checkered kind of look, almost animal skin, maybe like snake skin. Very cool look. Maroon, blush, white, very pretty. It's 12 bulbs for $5. And these are super easy to plant because the bulbs are so tiny and petite. Now, hyacinth are one of my favorite bulbs to force inside in early spring, but you can also plant them out in their landscape. In our area, they do have to be pre-chilled for about 6 to 8 weeks, and then you plant them out at the end of December, beginning of January, where it's consistently cold, and they do pretty well. They do not come back as a perennial, so if you do want to reuse these, you'll have to lift these at the end of the season. They have a very distinctive scent, and they just scream spring. So not as many bulbs as I typically have in my opinion, but still a wide variety, and they were super fun to look at. Pricing was pretty good. I do think you can find better pricing online, more varieties online. But like I said, this is about convenience right here. So you can just pop into your store and grab some and be done and not have to go through the hassle of getting everything online. Now, they did have another kiosk at the back, so I'm going to show you that as well. But I caught my eye on this bulb auger right here for $20, the perfect size, about 3 inches for planting bulbs. This would be so fun as a gift. You can give the auger, and then you can give a big bag of those daffodil bulbs. That would be such a fun present for someone to kind of add to their landscape. And it was really cool that the auger was right here. I love the bright green color, and I thought the price was pretty good as well. Before I went to the other kiosk, I did want to show you the Dutch iris. I grow a lot of Dutch iris as cut flowers, and they are beautiful. So this is 12 bulbs for $5, which is a pretty good price. This was a mix, but these are really fun bulb that'll come back year after year and that you can utilize for cut flowers. Now, in the back, they had a wide variety of lilies, which was really fun to kind of look at. I've been paying attention a lot more to lilies as I've seen a lot of people growing them. I have a couple of lily trees in my yard that they'll be going on to their second season this next spring. I was drawn to this color, Forever Susan, because it's fall right now, and so I loved all these fall tones. Thought it was super pretty. The price was 7 bulbs for $12.98, which is an okay price, about 24 to 36 inches tall. I do find that lilies, the longer you have them, the more robust and beautiful they are. You definitely want to push on the bulbs in the packages, make sure everything feels strong and healthy. This one, Purple Dream, was beautiful. Now, I don't always believe the photos that you see on the packages. So it's good to go ahead and Google it and see what other photos pop up, just so you can see the potential variations in the color, just so you're not surprised or disappointed. Now, this is a rose lily called Elodie. floaty. And I love watching Nicole with Flower Hill Farm, and she grew a bunch of rose lilies this year. And so they're kind of like a double lily, absolutely beautiful. You can see the aesthetic of them. It's just very elegant, whimsical, romantic. And this was 7 bulbs for $12.98. Now here's more of the single version of the pink lily. This is Rosella's Dream, and I thought it was pretty. It's kind of a lighter pink in the center with darker pink on the margins, which I thought was nice. Of course, here's red, and I've been drawn a lot to the red, and I love this like fire engine color. It's called Red Highland, and it was 7 plants for $12.98. This one was 24 to 40 inches tall. You can see there's a wide variation in the lily height. This guy was really pretty too, a deeper version of the red. I love the idea of like mixing the two, the last one and then this one, which is called Blacklist, and kind of having a variation in red in one place. I think would be really pretty and striking. And finally, this one right here kind of have like darker red center with white petals in the outside, and it was called Tribal Kiss. Really pretty, about 24 to 48 inches tall. This one was actually the tallest variety. And I do think they get taller the longer you grow them, the more seasons that you have them. But lilies are a fun bulb, especially for cut flowers as well. Okay, I'm back in the car. It's still hot, so hot, y'all. Okay, so bulbs. Bulbs are different for every zone, right? Just because something works in this zone doesn't mean it's going to work in a different zone, and vice versa. So that's something to really think about before you go and invest money in bulbs. However, I do think it's fun to try. So I think the avenue to starting bulbs is daffodils. I think daffodils are a very easy bulb to grow. I think they give a lot of wow factor earlier in the spring. They're going to be some of the first bulbs to actually bloom, which is nice too. They're inexpensive and they don't take a lot of care. A lot of times you can just leave them and they're just going to give you more and more every year. You can divide them maybe every 2 to 4 years if you want. Split up the bulbs, spread them out. You can do that if you want or not. Totally up to you. But daffodils are a really great place to start when planting bulbs. So all of the bulbs that I showed today are planted in the fall or winter, and then they grow in the spring. So like I said, a lot of my daffodils, those will all go in now, but then like my tulips and my hyacinth, I will pre-chill those in my refrigerator for about 60 days, and then I will plant them out in the landscape probably starting in December. And then they'll do pretty well that way. So I did buy a lot of those online. And if you haven't checked out that particular video, I'll drop that link below so you can see which ones I bought and where I bought them from. But other than that, bulbs are a really fun thing to add in your garden. You can tuck them in between shrubs, in between perennials, and they just give you a burst of color when it's unexpected. So definitely, if you haven't considered adding bulbs, please do so. They are wonderful. All right, you guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.